The plane was flying low and due to land when it came down in the tourist town of Pokhara. Rescue workers raced to the scene, finding parts of the wreckage on fire. Local people joined officials to search for bodies and survivors.
The incident was very tragic. The full force of the Nepal army and the police have been deployed for rescue operations.
The Yeti Airlines flight from Kathmandu was full of passengers. 15 of them were foreign nationals. Footage posted on social media shows the flight's final moments. The twin Pro ATR appears to make a sharp turn before coming down. Bystanders captured footage of flames rising from the wreckage. The Yeti Airlines aircraft was reportedly 15 years old and equipped with an old transponder with unreliable data.
We looked and then just managed to look at the records of data received by flight tracking websites on the aircraft, and it's been showing, on that particular aircraft, it's been showing some strange data that has been sent from the aircraft, the altitude fluctuating up and down, very, very large fluctuations that doesn't make sense. So again, it is very early days.
Poor maintenance and lax standards have led to several fatal accidents in Nepal in recent years. Flying can be challenging. Nepal has some of the world's most remote runways. Surrounded by mountains, they can be difficult for pilots to land in. This is the worst plane crash since 2018, when 51 people were killed when a flight from Bangladesh crashed on landing in Kathmandu. An investigation into the cause of this one is underway. Baig, Al Jazeera.
Well, Ramyata Limbu has more from the capital, Kathmandu.
If you consider the history, the aviation history of Nepal, because of our topography, our difficult geography, there have been numerous crashes or accidents, plane crashes in the past, but normally, usually in mountain areas and where you have the stall or small mountain aircrafts that fly, normally due to poor visibility and because of the difficult terrain. But today, the weather is good, there's good visibility, so people are wondering what happened. I did speak to some people within the airline industry and of course the company, but at this moment they say it's really difficult to gauge or say what exactly happened. But because it was in the town of Pokhara, around where there's an army base, police, administrative bases around, relief and rescue operations happened, I think, quickly. The Prime Minister himself has directed the Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal to facilitate rescue and relief operations as fast as possible, and a call center and has decided that a call center should be established at the airport so that relatives of those passengers involved in the crash can get more details and updates of what's happening.
Well, let's now speak to Sean Maffett, an aviation analyst. He joins us live from Gloucestershire in the UK. Thank you for being on Al Jazeera. Look, I know it's obviously very early on and there will be many investigations to come, but is there any early indication as to why this plane might have crashed?
Well, it's very odd. It doesn't look a very likely thing to be happening. It does appear, though, that the aircraft stalled. That's the aviation term for when you lose lift from the wings. And usually you lose one wing before the other, which is what seems to have happened here. The aircraft was pointing upwards, and then one wing, the left wing, drops, and it then spirals into the ground, which suggests that the left wing had indeed stalled. That's to say, the aviation term for running out of lift when it's not got enough airflow over the wing surface.
So can you just explain what could potentially cause a stall?
Well, no, I can't. I mean, I could explain in general, but I certainly couldn't explain why that happened here. It's a basic part of training for all pilots to be able to cope with stalls and to recover from them, and particularly not to get into a stalled condition in the first place. So we don't know how that happened. And by the time they were trying to recover, it was already too late.
Right. Well, what do you know about Yeti Airlines? What sort of safety record does it have?
Well, as an individual airline, not too bad. They actually recently only had 5 aircraft. Now they've only got 4. So they're not a very big airline. But in general terms, Nepali airlines are not thought of globally as being particularly safe. In fact, no airline from Nepal is allowed to fly into the European Union because of their safety record.
Right. Well, how safe is this particular aircraft, the ATR-72, and how popular is it around the world?
Well, they first flew in 1988, built in France. ATR stands for Aviation de Transport Régional, and the 72 in the title, ATR 72, reflects the number of passengers that it can carry. It actually had 68 on this occasion, plus 4 crew. And it's a popular aeroplane. There are 1,000 of them flying around the world. It's not thought of as being particularly unsafe, except perhaps for the fact that it does tend to fly in some areas where safety is not quite as high as others. I mean, Nepal is a very mountainous region, and flying in mountainous regions is more risky than flying elsewhere. So possibly that has some reflection on it.
I guess on that, what can you tell us about flying in the area and the conditions at the time of the crash? Do you think that that could have played a part at all? Obviously, the geography of Nepal makes for pretty challenging flying at times.
Indeed, although the weather looked to be quite good at the time, I think it might be relevant that this is a brand new airport. As I think you said, it only opened 2 weeks before. On the 1st of January. So it's possible that the crew were not as familiar. Well, presumably it's the first time they'd flown in there. I don't know that, but it seems quite likely. So that may have had something to do with it. Although I do have to say that for any pilot who's flying to an airport that they've never flown to before, they will do a lot of study beforehand to find out all about it. There is one thing at the moment. There are unconfirmed reports that they were trying to land on the opposite direction to what they'd been cleared to do. Now, this is entirely unconfirmed reports. This is from Twitter in the local area.
OK, no doubt we will clarify those in the days and weeks ahead. Thank you so much. That is Sean Mufford, an aviation analyst from the UK.
Thank you.